All right. All right, and I hope you'll enjoy today's session. I'd like to introduce our featured presenter today. He is recruiting and corporate hiring consultant, Mr. Gary O'Neill. Gary, you now have the floor.
Great. Thank you so much, Kelly. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Leveraging LinkedIn. If you've been in any of my sessions before, I usually start with saying what a good mood it is and what a good mood I'm in. And I really am today. And I think I figured out why is because every week when I get to do these things, I really look forward to it. I think it's what I'm supposed to do. I don't know. But I love it. And welcome to Leveraging LinkedIn. I am here today to share as much as I possibly can with you about how to make best use of this really important tool called LinkedIn. Before I do that, I want to tell you just a little bit about me so you kind of understand the perspective that I take. So I've been in and around hiring since really the beginning of my career. I grew teams. I was a hiring manager, probably hired, close to 500 people actually over the course of my career. I have run recruiting teams as large as 30. I've worked inside of Dell and Microsoft and Google and big companies as well as tiny startups and manufacturing and pharmaceutical and warehouses and you kind of name it. So I feel really fortunate that I've had the opportunity to be inside of 250, 300 different companies in a meaningful way, seeing how they go about hiring. And, I've learned a few things along the way. I run recruiting teams right now. I'm director of recruiting for Austin HR. We have about 175 clients in the Austin area primarily, but we do work all across the United States and help our clients who are headquartered here make hires all over. So I see a lot of things. I've learned a lot of things. I learn every single day. And my notion is that if you understand how the game is played, it's a whole lot easier to win. And I know that most people haven't ever had the opportunity to really see how hiring works from the inside of companies. So I'm going to kind of give you an inside look as to how that works, and specifically with respect to LinkedIn. Now, with LinkedIn, we're going to kind of talk about two sides of the coin here. The first side of the coin with regard to LinkedIn is making yourself easy to find so that when recruiters are looking for people like you, that you come up at the top of their list. It's really about search engine optimization, if you will, for LinkedIn. You probably all know that companies spend a lot of time and money on their websites, at least some of them do, trying to make sure that they come up at the top of the list. And they try to do that organically because when you run a search on LinkedIn, you see the sponsored links. Those don't get clicked on as much as the organic links. So companies spend a lot of time and energy trying to get on the top of the list. The same is true with respect to LinkedIn. I'm going to show you how we use LinkedIn as a recruiter so you'll understand more what I'm talking about. I'll show you how recruiters use LinkedIn. And what you'll see is that when we run a search, it's not unusual to come up with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people who kind of fit the profile that we might be looking for. But we don't reach out to all of them. I mean, if you're not on the first couple of pages of search results, it's not likely that you're going to get contacted. So I'm going to show you how to do that. The other side of the coin with respect to LinkedIn is using LinkedIn to reach out to others, to connect with others, to take more control over your job search, because the truth is waiting is not a strategy, right? Waiting is not a strategy. So I guess it is. It's just maybe not a great strategy. So you can have a LinkedIn profile and you can wait for me or one of my recruiters or one of the other, who knows how many recruiters there are in the United States, to find you and reach out to you. And I hope that that happens. And I'm going to help you up the odds that that happens. And you can apply for jobs and wait for somebody to reach out to you. Or you can do some of the, well, I should say, and you can do some of the things that we're going to talk about here today, which is really going to up your odds in terms of being able to connect with more people, reach out to more people, and become a lot more visible to a lot more people. So that's what we're here to talk about today. So without further ado, I'm going to drop into my LinkedIn account and I'm going to show you some stuff. And what I'm going to show you is how we as recruiters use LinkedIn. So here's my account. That's me. Please connect with me. You can find me. See up here at the top, this is what's called my public profile URL, www.linkedin.com/in. Every person's profile begins with that, linkedin.com/in/Gary O'Neill TX. I'll show you later how to get your own custom URL, because if you don't set up your own custom URL, it's some gobbledygook that's out there. So, connect with me. I'll show you how to do that later if you don't know how to do it. So what I'm going to do is I actually have a corporate recruiter license. So it's over here in this upper right-hand corner. You don't have this. Well, you might, but you probably don't have this. So let me show you how this works from a recruiter's perspective. And the reason why I want to do this is that if you understand how the game is played, it's a lot easier to win. And if I show you how recruiters use LinkedIn, then some of the other things I'm going to suggest to you shortly in terms of how you set up your profile are going to make a whole lot more sense. So let's start with something like, oh, I want a system administrator, and I want a system administrator in St. Louis, right, in St. Louis. So I'll start there, and I'm going to run this search. I wish that it would actually take me more directly into this thing, but what it does, it puts this down as a keyword. So once I get into this advanced search, what I really do is I'll go in, I'll put in a job title, system administrator. So I'm going to put in system administrator. And right here, you'll notice, so let me back up. Here's what I'm doing. I'm in my recruiter account, and I'm showing you how recruiters use this tool to find people. And the reason why that's important is you may not know, but the majority of recruiters do not rely on job posts. Probably on my team, 95% of all hires that we're associated with happen this way, which is we find people and reach out to them. Because when we post jobs, we get hundreds of responses usually. And a lot of the people who are applying are really not a good fit for the job. We feel obligated to try to get back to everybody. It's crazy, right? So if I posted 20 jobs, which is only a fraction of what we got, and 200 people apply, you do the math, that's 4,000 people who are reaching out to us, and we can't possibly keep up. So most of what we do, and most of the professional recruiters who I know, use LinkedIn as one of their primary tools, and their primary strategy for hiring is to reach out to people as opposed to post jobs. So the reason why I'm showing you what I'm showing you is if you understand how we use this tool to find people, then you'll understand how to set up your profile so that you're easier to find. That's what we're doing here right now. So as a recruiter, I have this tool that you probably don't have, and I have job titles here, and I put in the job title system administrator, and I haven't narrowed it down to a location yet. I typed that earlier, but I got rid of that search. I cleared it so I could be in this advanced search tool. So because I'm in this tool, I see everyone essentially in the world, and there are up at the top, it says 932,000 people who have the title system administrator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to narrow that down to current, because this drop down says that's their current or their past title. So there's almost 400,000 people in my system that carry the term network administrator. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to narrow it down to a location. So I'm going to play in Austin because I got a lot of connections in Austin, and I can show you more if I do that. The same would be true if I was working on St. Louis or anywhere else, but I have more connections in Austin, and it'll be more powerful. Most of the time the recruiters who are looking for you are looking in the area where you're at or the area where they're at, and they'll have a bigger network. So this will be more realistic if I use it, if I do it in my area. So when I narrow it down to people, and what I say is their current title is system administrator, their current location is Austin, Texas, I now have 1,271. All right, so as a recruiter, that's way too many. I can't possibly deal with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start narrowing that down. So skills and expertise, right? So in this particular case, for my client, Active Directory is kind of a big deal for them. So I'll narrow it down by Active Directory. If you're not in IT, the same thing would apply in other things that you do. We begin to narrow it down by skill, by skills is what we usually do. And by narrowing it down by skills, it might be healthcare. We might be looking at the industry that you're at. Whatever is important to our client or our company, we begin to narrow those things down. And I'll show you where the skills area is on your resume, but notice that it's clear that these are the things that recruiters use most, because under this custom filters tab, the very first thing is job title, location, skills. I mean, there it is, right? So I got 389 people who fit my criteria so far. So way too many, right? I couldn't possibly deal with that. So another thing that I often do is I'll go down to this keywords section, and I'll put in a certification of some sort. So particularly for these kinds of roles, a lot of my clients really appreciate that, because hiring is all about risk management for companies. The most risky thing they can do is hire a person, because almost every every great thing that happens in a company is because a person did something great, and every horrible thing that happens in a company is generally because a person did something horrible in most companies. And so hiring is a really risky situation. And so since it's a risky situation, particularly if somebody's looking at like entry level or people who are in career transition, certifications mean a lot to them because it minimizes the risk, because of all people who get certifications in an area where somebody needs to, needs help, needs support, needs somebody to do work. Those certifications basically prove that at least you know something, right? That they can't make a bad hire. And so maybe that sounds funny to you, but the notion is that there are plenty of people who don't have certifications, and some are awesome and some are not. But of the set of all people who have meaningful certifications, there are few people in that set who aren't at least okay at what they do. So particularly if a small company or a smaller company or a small IT team may not even really understand how to make a good selection, certifications are something that's important to them. Anyway, I don't want to overemphasize that, but that's the reason why I put that in. So now I've got my set down to 77 people, right? I got it down to 77 people. So, at this point in time, what I'm going to do as a recruiter, there's a few things that I can also look at. There's 10 here, it says, that are more likely to respond. And when I hover over this, it tells you more likely to respond to you based upon your message history and my candidate engagement. And what that means is they're either connected to me or connected to somebody who's close to me, or have been communicating on LinkedIn with someone who's close to me. So the more people communicate and the closer they are to my own network, the more likely they are to come up in this set of 10. So if I'm in a big hurry, and most of the time recruiters are because companies wait too late to hire, they'll narrow it down to this set. So now I got 10 people. Bang. And what I know is every single one of these people's current title is system administrator. Every single one of them's current location is Austin, Texas. They all have Active Directory listed as one of their skills, and they all have the word CompTIA somewhere in their profile. Now, if I was in a big hurry, right? If I was in a big hurry, I now have my set, and what I'm going to do is, there's a couple of different things I can do. One is I can send them an in-mail message. We don't do that a whole lot, actually. LinkedIn loves us to do that because that's how they make money. They cost us on an account like this about $10 a piece, and the response rate is only about 25%, and half of those are people telling me that they're not interested. So, about 10 or 15. So they're roughly 50 or $60 a piece by the time I get anybody to reply. So let me show you what a lot of us do. And again, I'll get back to my whole point in all of this is let me show you how recruiters use this tool and how fast we move. Because here's the deal. If you were a system administrator in Austin, Texas, and you have Active Directory skills and you have CompTIA, and you don't have that in your profile in the right way, and you're not closely connected to me, you don't come up in my list of 10, right? You don't come up in my list of 10. And that means I'm not going to reach out to you. 5 have marked themselves as interested in new opportunities. So if I got time, I'll go to that set. 3 have company connections, which means they're connected to somebody in my company. But that means I got to go see if the person really knows them and blah, 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 which sometimes I'll do, but not if I'm in a hurry. So if I'm in a hurry, which is a lot of the time, here's what I do. I'm going to open David Woodward's profile. All right, here we go. I'm opening up his profile right now. And right off the top, I see system administrator, yeah. And what I do is I skip right down here, right? I skip right down here. I'll do a quick scan of this section right here. There's Active Directory, Apache, those kinds of things. Looks like it looks like a Linux guy more than a Microsoft guy, but I don't know. System administrator. He doesn't tell me much. Network security class. Yeah, okay. I'd like to talk to this guy. Probably not my guy, but I want to talk to him. So here's what I do at this point. See this little arrow that's over here on the side? This connects to my applicant tracking system. And you don't have to remember all this stuff. I just want you to see how we work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import this guy into my applicant tracking system. I'm going to import his profile off of that, and I'm going to click pipeline. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect him to a job that I'm working on over at GCS Technologies as a NOC technician. And I now, sorry about that, now click pipeline to job. And I'm done at this point in time. And what I'll do later is that once I import these 10 people into my system, I'm going to go into my system and send email messages out to all of them because I can get their email address. Let me show you how that works. So if I click here, I go to this person's profile. I've got this little icon that pumps up called Hunter, which hunts for email addresses. I click on that, and oh, come on. Sorry about that. Didn't find his email address. Bummer, right? But once he connects with me, I'll know what his email address is. And if I can't get his email address, I'll probably skip him and go on to another one. So, do now, see how fast this is going? Now I'll bring up Jose, right? I'll bring up Jose's profile. Probably won't even really look at it yet. I'll look at it later. I'm going to import that profile. I'm going to click that. I'm going to bring up Hunter. I'm going to go grab his email address. There it is. I got his email address. Copy, right? I'll put his email address into my applicant tracking system. Paste that. Paste. Import his record into my system. Looks like he's already in there. I'm going to merge the new information, and off I go. I'm going to pipeline him to the GCS opportunity, and dang, right? So there we go. So in less than 10 minutes, what's going to happen is I'm going to have run my search for people who have title system administrator. And the reason why I pick current is I don't care whether they're employed or not. What I care about is that there are a lot of people who were system administrator 20 years ago and now they're in real estate and I don't need them. And so I'll flip it to current so I get people who are close to the people that I want. They're in Austin, Texas. They have Active Directory skills. They have CompTIA. I'm going to pull them into my applicant tracking system. I'll go into my applicant tracking system in just a bit and I'll send out messages to those 10 and I may broaden my search and go do it again. So that's how this works from the recruiter side. So the lessons learned, and we're going to talk about how to do this. Here's the lessons learned at this point in time is that job titles are really, really critical in your LinkedIn profile. And your LinkedIn profile is not a legal document. It is not a legal document. It is an advertising piece. It is a marketing piece. So one of the things that's really critical with regard to being found is that, one, you must have a current position in LinkedIn. And I'll show you how to do that. So, if you do not have a current position in LinkedIn, that's a position where you mark it as I currently work here. And you might say, well, I'm not working anywhere, if you're not employed right now. Well, the answer is to make it a current position, you check the box that says I currently work here. I'll show you that in a minute. But if you don't have a current position, you will not come up in my search results, right? If you don't have a current position, you will not come up in my search results. So you got to have one. The next thing is that your job titles are really, really, really important. So what my suggestion is going to be is that you put in multiple job titles into each of your positions, particularly your current position. And the job title that you put in is the job title that somebody's likely used to search for you. What you're going to hear over and over and over today is that the moral in the story with respect to the side of the coin of LinkedIn, which is about you being found, is to not worry so much about what your LinkedIn profile says when somebody finds it and worry a whole lot more about it being found. Because, you can have an absolutely beautiful, fully dressed out, full description LinkedIn profile on page 20 and I'm never going to look at it, or you could have a very scantily filled out profile and you come up in number 1 position on my search, yeah, I'm going to reach out to you, right? I mean, that's how that game is played. Also notice these days that, let me bring up David's record again. Notice that what it does is LinkedIn knows that recruiters move this fast. And so when you bring up somebody's profile, it really only shows me, well, it's showing me more on his because that's what I've got set as my default. It shows me more. But if you search in your profile, I'll show you how to search in a while. Bring up only like the most 3 recent things that they do, because very often here's the deal. When I run this search, I know that everybody who comes up in the search is either a person who I'm looking for or is likely to know the person I'm looking for. So I don't bother to look at their profile, just reach out to them, right? I mean, that's how recruiters work. Because what will happen is if I actually go read David Woodard's profile and Jose Magallanes, Scott Zimmerman and the rest, if I go read their profile, that's going to take me a lot of time. A lot of them aren't going to respond to me. Anybody who's interested is going to respond no matter what. So it's a whole lot more effective for me to just reach out to them, and then the people who are interested or not interested will reply, and the others who aren't won't. And then once they reply, now I go start looking at their background and start trying to connect with them. So that's how this game is played. All right? I hope that makes sense. Oh, I didn't want to go off that yet. So here's the critical things. Job titles are critical. You have to have a current position, and I'm going to show you how to put in multiple titles in your current job. They're the kinds of titles that somebody's likely to use to search for you. You have to have a location in your profile, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. I'll show you how to build out your skills, and you got to think about the skills that somebody's going to use to search for you for, as well as keyword laden, yeah, so let me show you how to do all this stuff. The other thing that is in your session here is that there's a handout section. And in that handout section, you can get this PDF document that I have in front of you. I'm not doing a PowerPoint presentation because I wanted to give you a tool that you can use. And so now that I've showed you how recruiters work and how critically important it is that you focus on coming up at the top of the list and worrying a lot less about what the content of your profile is and doing the tricks that, let's call this LinkedIn hacking if you want to. We're going to hack our way to the top of the list so that when somebody searches for you, you come up at the top of the list. That's what we're going to do. So that's what this tool is for. So everything that I'm going to show you is in this document, right? And so you can refer to it. Now, the document doesn't show you all the details of how to do it because that changes all the time, and I honestly, I can't keep up with it. As soon as I put something in there, the way that it works is going to be wrong. But most of it's fairly easy to do. I'll show you how to do it in the current thing, and then they have a pretty good help system, and you can always search Google for help on how to do some of these things. But let me show you how it works. All right. Starting at the top, be easy to find. That's the side of the coin that we're on. We want to search engine optimize your LinkedIn profile so that when people are doing what I was just doing as a recruiter, that you come up at the top of the list and you're the person who gets reached out to. So, you know, that's really what it's all about. So step number one is to use multiple titles that people are likely to search for. Because if I search for system administrator, right, let me show you, I'm going to go back to this for a second. I want to show you how powerful it is and why you need multiple titles. It works like this. The reason why I was searching for system administrator was because my client wanted to hire a system administrator. And if I present someone to my client who currently holds the title system administrator, that'll be a lot easier for me to get their attention. And the way that I make my living is because my clients hire great people. And so the faster and easier I can get to people being hired, the faster and easier I get paid. And, you know, I don't mean to be crude, but that's how, the reason why I tell you that is because that's what recruiters are incented to do, whether you're a third-party recruiter like me and my team, or whether you're a corporate recruiter, it's the same, which is path of least resistance. So when my hiring manager is looking for a system administrator, that's what I want to bring them. Now, but if I get rid of system administrator, there are people out in the world who do the exact same thing who are called network engineers, right? Exact same thing, but they're called network engineers because titles don't really mean that much. So what you'll notice is with the exact same search, network engineer, I came up with 52 people and 8 who are likely to respond. And if we went through this list of 8, right, I bet you this list of 8 has almost none of the same people that my list of system engineers does. I could also put in Microsoft administrator. I could also put in network administrator. So what I'm most likely to do as I'm searching for people is I'm just going to change my job title a few times until I get a list of about 50 or 60 people. So I would reach out to this 8, and then I'll go in and I'll put in, since it's Microsoft, right, I'll put in Microsoft soft administrator, Microsoft System Administrator, and I got none out of that, so that didn't even do me any good, right? So I can go to Network Administrator, bang, Network Administrator. I got 4 more in my set who are likely to respond. 2 are connected, 37. So I can get a set of about 50 people in a hurry. And I can get a set of 50 people in about 20 minutes. I can put them in my applicant tracking system. I can put together a message that's going to go out and say, hey, Preston, hi, my name is Gary O'Neill. I'm working with a couple of different companies right now who are looking to bring on some really strong system administrators. If you're in a situation where you're considering making a job move, I would welcome a conversation with you or someone that you know. Thanks so much. Looking forward to talking to you. And if I send that message out to about 50 people, about 20 of them by Monday or Tuesday will have gotten back to me. About 10 of them will say thanks, but no thanks. About 10 of these people will say, yeah, I'd love to talk to you. And within the next couple of days, I have 10 people to talk to. One of them's like, or a handful of them are likely to be not only a good fit, but, you know, that it might make sense for them in their career. And the next thing you know, interviews are happening by the end of next week. So it's all because I flipped this job title. So if Preston happened to be looking for an opportunity and I'd only put in system administrator, he wouldn't have come up in my search results. So you need to have multiple titles in your profile, and those are the titles that people are most likely to use to search for people who do the kind of things that's the next logical career move for you. So if you're in career transition and you're in medical billing and coding, then you want to put in, office manager, medical billing and coding, medical billing, those kinds of things are the kinds of things that someone's going to look for. If you're in career transition and you're moving into an IT role, you want to put network administrator, system administrator, help desk, technical support, help desk administrator, right? Those kinds of things are the things that someone's going to look for you for. So here's just a few examples that I suggest that you use. I suggest you avoid using vague titles or official titles that no one's ever going to search for. So as an example, if you had a title in the past that was relevant, or if you had a role in the past that was relevant to where it is you're going in your future, and your title was something like technical analyst, don't bother to put that on your profile. No one will ever search for technical analyst because it really doesn't mean anything. So turn it into something that people are likely to search for. Let me show you how to do that. So it's pretty straightforward. The first thing to do, if you're wondering about how to know what titles to use, a lot of titles you might already know, but what you can do is you can actually go search for people who are just like you, right? So you can say system administrator, and I'm back in my I'm back in my same system. This is the same system you have. This is not my paid system. So here we go, right? So I just search for system administrator, and look, Jay Allen, I saw, might have been in one of my classes one time, network administrator, system administrator, network engineer, IT help desk, right? System administrator, network engineer, right? Look at that. Seeking new opportunities, Austin, Texas, I bet you anything, right? And these people are first person connected to me. System administrator, senior Linux system administrator, and what you do is you would just flip through these things until you got a list of titles that are commonly used by people who are in this area. And then you might try something different. You might try help desk. You might try all kinds of things until you get what you see as the most commonly used titles for the people who do what you do. And the reason why you want to use the most common titles that people use is because as a recruiter, if I search for a title and I get very few hits, I just move on to the next title. So as a recruiter, I want a title that comes up with lots of hits so I can then begin to narrow it down by skill set and things like that. So use multiple titles. The way that you manipulate or change or modify your title, pardon me one second. I have just a bit of a cough. I have to pop out every once in a while. So here's how I do that. I'm going to go to my profile. I'm going to scroll down to my experience section, and I'm going to click on this little pencil right here, and I'm going to open this one up. And your title right here at the top, right? You just put in multiple titles right up here at the top. I happen to like this little vertical bar. Just as a separator. You can put in commas if you want to, whatever you want to. It doesn't really matter. It's just whatever your pleasure, right? And the other thing that we talked about is that you need to have, pardon me, you need to have a current position. Now, the way you have a current position is you always have to put in a from date. So, if you're in job transition, the from date might be from when you had your last job or, whatever you think makes sense with regard to your from date. Your from date might be, as an example, if you're a student at New Horizons and maybe there was a period of time between the last work that you were doing, the last job that you held, and when you became a student, you still might, you might say that you're a student. You can still put that all the way back to when your last job was. So whatever makes sense for you in that regard. But the most important thing is right here is you click this button that says I currently work here, right? I currently work here. Now the way to think about this button is mislabeled. The way that they made a mistake, LinkedIn did a mistake on accident. They meant to label this button, make this my current position. Make this my current position is what that's supposed to be labeled. And one of the software developers at LinkedIn forgot the notes in the meeting and he typed in the wrong thing or she typed in the wrong thing and they said I currently work here. So just remember that. That's what this button is make this my current position. This one right here, update my headline. I'll show you why later, but don't click this one. Leave that one blank. And then down here is where you would put in the description. So, if you're in career transition, we'll talk about this section a little bit more later, but if you're, and that because for being found, it doesn't matter as much as your title and the other things, quite honestly. This is the hardest part of your profile. It's really the description that comes out of your resume for your roles. And if you're in career transition, this is where you would talk about being a New Horizons student. This would be talking about the skills and stuff that you learn. And so you would populate this with a lot of information about what it is that you're doing and learning in classes, right? You might have, working toward comp TIA net plus. Did you know that how hard it is to type is directly proportional to the number of people watching you type? A plus, net plus, security plus, plus certifications, right? There you go. And on and on. And one of the things you can put in here is you can say keywords, right? And I can put in Active Directory, I can put in Cisco, I can put in, Microsoft, I can put in SharePoint, file, all the things that you think that somebody might search for you for. Load up this description with those things, right? Load up this description with those things. So multiple titles, I currently work here, have a current position, load this up with the kinds of keywords and skills and things like that that you think someone's going to search for. You certainly want to put in your certifications, and even if you don't have them yet, say, working toward certifications, because that way when I put in CompTIA, it'll come up whether you have one or whether you didn't, as long as those words happen to be in your profile. All right. The other thing that you want to do is, share changes in your profile. Here's what happens is that if you have this turned on, then when you save changes to your profile, it sends a message out to your network. Unless you've got to make a choice as to whether you want to do that. If you print it on yes, then it's going to send a message out to your network. If you flip it on no, it's not going to. So I get asked about this a lot, this media button right here, add a link or external documents or photos and things like that. The truth is recruiters don't really open these things or pay that much attention to them. So, you can put a copy of your resume there if you want to. It's not going to do you any harm. So if you have things that you want to put there, feel free. They're going to do you no harm and might do you some good. But, don't stress about it. You don't have to have stuff to put there. They're not used all that frequently or paid attention to all that much. So it's not a big deal one way or another. All right, so that's what you do with respect to your one role. Your takeaways are multiple titles. I currently work here. Heavy use of keywords in the description for the things that somebody's going to search for you on. Even if you put nothing but keywords in here and you don't say anything else, that would be okay, because the point is that you want to come up in search results. Now, you probably want to put something else in there to make those keywords make sense so that when somebody does look at your profile, they won't go, what's this pile of keywords? But you can say, student at New Horizons, learning these kinds of things, participating in these kinds of, put some stuff that makes sense. And then, you literally can put keywords and list stuff right here. Just list it, load it up right there, because it'll be at the, let me show you what that looks like. I actually put that on my profile, and even that doesn't look all that weird, right? It's kind of weird. But if you had some stuff in your description down here at the bottom, you said keywords and you loaded up with things about medical billing and coding, if you loaded it up with things about, in that space like Excel and other things somebody might search for, or if you're in IT, things that somebody might search for, it'll look natural right down here at the bottom. And when a recruiter is searching for you and puts in those kinds of keywords, it's a really simple search that it does, which is he or she who has the most keywords in their profile wins, and they come up at the top of the list. So it's really, really easy to hack your LinkedIn profile and come up at the top of the list, because most people don't think about this stuff. So I'll save that so that's off of my profile. Okay, cool. Kelly, how are we doing? We got questions or anything out there at this point in time? I've been just kind of going and hadn't even taken a breath.
We are doing great. A lot of the questions that were asked you have answered along the way, so we're good to go right now.
Cool, awesome. All right, great. And what I'm going to do is, in a little while, I'm going to get you all to do some searching and stuff, and actually use this tool, but not quite yet. I just want to show you a couple of other things, and then off we go. So another thing that you want to do. So here's where we're at. So in my handout, we've talked about multiple titles. We talked about have a current position. We actually talked about keywords already, keywords. I'll show you a little bit more about keywords in just a second. Keywords are important because it's all about being found. That's your focus. The answer to almost every question someone will ask me about should I do such and such or should I do such and such with regard to my profile, my response is, do you believe that will make you easier to be found and to come up higher in the search results? If not, then I don't know if you want to do it or not. If it will, yeah, do that. So the first thing is, do you believe that it'll help you come up in search results? And the way it helps you, the things that help you come up in search results are your titles that you use, having a current position, your location, which is what I'm about to talk about, keywords and skills that are in your profile, which I'll show you too. So let's talk next about your zip code, and that's really your location. So let me show you how that works. So know that I do not get to see, as a user, even as a recruiter with an upgraded account, I do not get to see your zip code that you put in. What I get to see is the area that you're in, Austin or Austin, Texas area, or Cincinnati area, or whatever it is. But the way that is first of all, let me show you where your zip code is right here at the top. When I click this little pencil, it opens this box, right? Here's, I'll show you down here is where your zip code is, right? So here's the trick with respect to your zip code is that when I'm running a search, I didn't show you this, but if I had too many people in my search, I can narrow the area that I'm searching in by distance from a zip code. And so if way too many people come up in my search results, then what I'll do is it starts with, I forget what the default is, maybe 50 miles, but I'll narrow it down to 35 miles, 20 miles, 10 miles of the zip code where I want somebody to work. Because if in my first search I came up with 250 people who fit all my key criteria, as a recruiter, what I know is that people's job satisfaction is higher when they commute less, their turnover is less, it's less risky, it's easier to bring them in for interviews than everything else if they're closer. So I begin to narrow it down by zip code, right? So if you live on the outskirts of town, so in Austin, and like most cities, in Austin, there's Austin, Maine, and then there's all these little cities around Austin where people commute to. One of them is called Pflugerville, right? Pflugerville, really? What a funny little name. Cute little town. I know a lot of people who live there. It's on the north side of Austin, but a lot of people who live in Pflugerville or Georgetown commute into Austin, and there aren't many opportunities north of those locations. Almost everything is south. So if I was searching for someone who lived within 10 miles of downtown Austin, all of the people in Georgetown and Pflugerville will not come up in my search results because they're not within 10 miles of downtown. So what you should probably do with your zip code is, instead of necessarily putting your zip code as the zip code in which you live, then you probably want to make your zip code be the area that's in the middle of the area that you're open to commuting to, right? Maybe a little closer to you, but somewhere, move it on down, because if somebody lived up in Pflugerville or Houston, right? In Houston, you got Spring as an example, if you happen to be in Houston. You would probably, if you lived up in Spring, instead of using your zip code up in Spring, you'd probably at least pull it down to a zip code that's in the northwest corner of Houston, so you can make your way down 290. Or maybe a better commute than that. But pick your path and figure out where that is and put your zip code there. So one of the challenges is that, what if I'm relocating? What if I'm open to jobs in other locations? I got not great news for you. You can only put in a single zip code. You know what? Let me check. Maybe, let me see. I think I can't put in more than one. 78134. Yeah, sorry. You can only put in one zip code. Bummer, dude, huh? I wish I could change that. If I could flip a switch, I'd flip a switch and do that right this very second. But for whatever reason, LinkedIn thinks that it's important for you to only have one zip code. So that's how that works. Hang on. Okay, so let me tell you why we're here. Let me show you another couple of things about the screen. So I may show you things in order that isn't exactly on my handout, but pretty much everything that I'm showing you is on the handout as a reminder. So while we're in this little section here, let me show you some other things. This area right here is called your headline. And where your headline is, let me close this again. Where your headline is this right here. It comes up right under your name. And the reason why it's so important, there's two reasons why your headline is so important. One is that when I run a search, like here, I'm going back to the search results that I had earlier. Right here, this Preston Good, Preston Goody, Preston Good, that is his headline. Chris Harding, this is his headline, right? Christian Harris, this is his headline. And the default is title at company in your current position. And that really doesn't tell me much. And so, if you flip that switch that says, update my headline, that's what it updates it to. And that's just not very powerful. What you want your headline to be is something that's a lot more searchable than that, because your headline is highly indexed. Pardon me. So you want essentially the same thing that you put in the title of your current position. The other reason why your headline is so important is, well, there's a couple of reasons. One is because it comes up in search results inside of LinkedIn. The other reason why it's so important is that if somebody isn't a recruiter and they're not using an advanced search and they just run a search like right here, system administrator, and again, I'm not in my recruiter account right now, I'm in my regular account, just like yours probably. If I run just system administrator, it's not searching your it's not searching your title. This search up here at the top, that searches your headline really pretty heavily. It'll search your titles too, but this one really drops into the headline. So system administrator, you'll notice that everybody who's coming up in my search results has system administrator in their headline. System administrator, system administrator, system administrator, system administrator. So I've played with this a lot. When somebody just runs a simple search in LinkedIn, and lots of people like hiring managers who aren't recruiters, who don't have recruiter and they don't know how to use the advanced search, when they search for you, it's searching your headline. So system administrator, people with system administrator title, and then what I'll do is, if I'm not paying much attention, I'll say Austin, right? And now it'll also, it's smart enough to start searching location. So people who don't use LinkedIn regularly, like hiring managers, to search for people, this is what they'll do. And so if you have your titles in your headline, then you'll come up much higher in search results. The final reason why your headline really matters is that lots of recruiters, probably at least 40% of the great recruiters who I know, use Google to search LinkedIn. Let me just show you that real quick, because Google searches LinkedIn better than LinkedIn does, quite frankly. So, I can say system administrator, right here we go. So this search right here, what I said is, find me somebody with the word system administrator. I put in the phrase site:linkedin.com/in, which means it's only searching LinkedIn profiles. You can use this command in LinkedIn anytime, Google anytime you want, site:. I'm just narrowing it down to site:linkedin.com/in, so it's only searching people's LinkedIn profiles. I put in Austin, Texas, because Google has built their search so that this basically searches titles and this searches location, because they built it that way for us as recruiters. I put in -Linux, which means I'm not looking for people who have Linux in their profile. I am looking for CompTIA, and here we go. Right, and when I open each one of these, I'm going to hold my control key so it opens in a new tab. Bang, 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 bang. Matthew Amson. Here we go. Let's take a look. What did I get? It's like fishing. What did I get? All right, cool. Come on. There we go. I got Kevin Arnold, right? Messaging service specialist, teacher retirement system in Texas, right? I'm sure. System analyst, yeah, I'll map him. I'll pull him into my applicant tracking system. I'll use Hunter. I'll figure out what his email address is. There it is, kevinarnold@texas.gov, and I would pull him in my system and close that. Mike May, CISSP, he's on sabbatical. I wonder when he went on sabbatical. Wow, he's not on sabbatical. Maybe he is. I don't know. Okay, cool. I pull him into my applicant tracking system. I grab his email address, and off I go. So the reason why it's so critical is that when I did this Google search, and we're talking about your headline, notice what happens is the first thing that happens when I pull up is Kevin Arnold LinkedIn, and what it's pulling up is their location, and it tells me about their headline and pulls a few things from somebody's headline right here. See, it is currently on sabbatical, so it pulls up your location and your headline, and so I decide as a recruiter, I decide whether I'm opening your profile based upon this line right here and this line right here, and those things, if you look at Andrew Adams' profile, right, where those things come from, notice system sales engineer, solar winds, that came from right here, solar winds, it pulled this, right, it pulled this information, Google just knows how to pull it up, and then it will go down to opening up, where did it pull that next part? I don't know, but LinkedIn's pretty good. I mean, Google's pretty good at pulling that stuff up. So no matter what, your headline and some of what you say in your profile comes up right here, and there are quite a few recruiters who search for you this way. All right, you don't have to remember all the detail. You just have to remember why to do some of the stuff that I'm sharing with you that you should do. So I'm going to go back into this whole setting right here. So here's your headline. I suggest you use the same thing that you do in your current position. The other thing you can put in here, and I often have in here, but I took it out for some reason, is my Austin HR is my email address. Because what I will do as a recruiter is if you give me your email address right there, I'll email you right now when you come up with my search results. And you know, I'll put my phone number 512-814-5639. It's too long. Yeah, can't do that. And so I'll save that in a minute. I'll have my email address. Here's my current position, right? I can add a position if I want to. It shows me a little bit about my education. And here's the part I really wanted to show you is your summary. So in your summary, what I suggest you do is you start your summary with the exact same line that is in your headline. So, you know, I'm going to take this and I'm going to take it down here, and it's already there, so I'm not going to paste it again because, well, pasting, I didn't get that copyright. Anyway, so paste it again right there. So now what's happening is if somebody searches for executive recruiter, I got executive recruiter in my headline, I have executive recruiter in my summary, I have executive recruiter in the title of my current position. I promise you, if somebody searches for executive recruiter in Austin, Texas, I'm coming up near the top of the list because no one else is putting that in their profile that many times. And then what I do is down here in my summary, if I was looking for a job, I'd probably put executive recruiter down here a couple more times, and I would put in all kinds of keywords again. And down here at the bottom of my summary, I'm going to put in keywords. One of the things I'm going to put in keywords is that I'm going to copy my headline again, and I'm going to show you this doesn't look ridiculous. What it does is it brings me up to the top of search results. We go back down here to keywords, literally keywords. Bang. And then, you know, I'm going to put in more stuff. I'm going to put in names of bifurcating tracking systems. I'm going to put in, you know, LinkedIn expert. I'm going to put in, you know, I'll put in all kinds of other stuff here. There are things that I think that people might search for me for. I got too many things in my headline. It won't let me put more. So I'm going to go ahead and save this to show you what it looks like. Got to get it down to something that'll let me. Got too much open. My computer's running slow. There we go. Hang on a second. I'm going to save this. And so now I have my headline, recruiter, executive recruiter. I'm going to scroll down. One of the reasons why it doesn't look funny is because it doesn't even show my summary anymore. Somebody has to open this up. So if they open it up, there it is again. I've got it in here in my body, and then I've got it one more time down here. And then I've got it one more time. You have to scroll down a little bit further. And one more time here. Plus, if I was looking for a job, I would fill out the description here, and I would put it there again. So if somebody was searching for executive recruiter or talent acquisition leader, or I probably ought to put in technical recruiter. Actually, I have it, senior technical recruiter. Here's what I promise you. I promise you I'm coming up really high in a lot of people's search results. And that's because I put that stuff in my profile so many times. And it doesn't look awkward, right? I mean, does that look awkward? Does anything stand out as like weird? Nah, no, I mean, no, it doesn't stand out as weird. All I know is, yeah, I'm coming up high in some of my search results. So I'm going to go edit that back because I don't want that in my profile because I had to remove something else. And my profile is a little bit different than I would if I was actually looking for a job. I'm looking for clients is what I'm looking for. So I set mine up for that. Let me fix this real quick. I'll save that. All right, cool. So that's that on your profile. So let me show you where we're at, and we're right on time. I'm going to shift gears in here in just a little bit. So we're search engine optimizing your profile. I've showed you a lot about how recruiters use the stuff. I don't necessarily expect you to remember that. I just wanted to drive the point home that if you do some of the things that I'm sharing with you to do, I can guarantee you that you come up higher in search results. In fact, I would wager, well, that doesn't matter, but yeah, I know that you'll come up higher in search results because that's how the system works. My background is in IT, by the way, in software development. I play with this stuff. I mess with it. I experiment with it. I'm geeky that way, and it works. So multiple titles that people are likely to search for you for, put it in your headline, put it in your summary, put it at the bottom of your summary, put it in your current position, use it for the title of your current position, have a current position by checking the box that says I currently work here because somebody at LinkedIn mislabeled that box. Set your zip code in the middle of the area that you're willing to commute to. Search, make your headline searchable by using those same things that you put in your title, right? Because anybody who isn't doing an advanced search like a recruiter, that general search is searching mostly off of your headline, and then keywords, 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 right? In your summary, in every description. The truth is that if I search for, like that search I had earlier, I put in the keyword CompTIA. If you were exactly the same as everybody else in the search, but you had CompTIA in your profile, anywhere in your profile, more than anyone else, you come up higher in the search results. So imagine the keywords that somebody is going to use to search for you. Microsoft, Cisco, Active Directory, SharePoint, Office 365, help desk, IT administrator, the list goes on. I mean, I could sit here and make up, I could probably say names that you would put in your profile for probably 10 minutes and probably not repeat one, at least not on purpose. And you could do the same thing. Use the names of the classes you're in. Use the names of the systems that you've touched. Go search for people who do what you want to do and find profiles that you like that came up high in search results and use the words that they use. So put that stuff in your profile because the whole point is that it's a lot more about your profile coming up high in search results than it is about what your profile looks like or says once somebody finds it. And that's the honest truth. You can have a beautiful profile on page 10 and I'm not going to reach out to you. You can have a sloppy profile on page 1 and I am going to reach out to you. So yeah, that's how this works, right? And the reason why it works that way is because recruiting is a very, 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 very busy job. It's very busy. I know recruiters who are at places like Google who they're responsible for 50 positions at the same time. And because of corporate requirements, they post all of their jobs and they get 300 and 400 people applying for every one of their jobs. So do the math. 50 times 100 is 50. What is that? 50 times 100, 55,000. Is that right? And multiply that times 4 because that's how many are happening on that. So, 5,000 times 20. I mean, they have tens and tens of thousands of people applying for their jobs, so they kind of ignore them because they can't deal with it, and they go straight to here. And there's people who work inside of those companies who do nothing but go search for people, pull them into their applicant tracking systems, and those are the people who mostly get reached out to. Yeah, I mean, I know maybe that's not comfortable for you, but the truth is that's how the game is played. So I'm here to teach you how to shift the odds in your favor and to teach you how to win. And the last thing I kind of have to say about that is that it's easy to search engine optimize your profile because no one else does it. And so if you do some of these things, you will come up higher in search results. I mean, that's just the truth. All right. Maximize keywords in your summary. We've already said that one a whole lot. Let's talk about the work history or the experience section of your profile. And what I'm talking about is this section that's down here. All right, this section that's down here. One of the things that's notable these days is that, well, I have my default set differently. I have it where it basically opens more of people's profiles, but by default these days, it collapses everything but the heading and the dates of your most recent 3 jobs. It doesn't show much detail anymore. People have to click to open it up, and that's because people are moving pretty fast these days. But that still doesn't change what's important with respect to search results. Here's the deal with your work history. Your work history in LinkedIn is essentially exactly the same as the work history from your resume. And we do a session called Resumes That Rock, and we talk all about that in that particular one. The only things to think about here or to know is that jobs are called positions in LinkedIn. Use multiple search optimized titles. We already talked about that for each one of your positions. Avoid Avoid vague titles like technician, make them more specific like electronics technician, IT support. Titles like first lieutenant, yeah, nobody's going to search for that. It's okay, you can put it in there. But you might want to, if you were in the military, probably translate what you actually did, even in your past, even if it has nothing to do with what you're doing in the future. If you were a logistics manager and supply chain manager, use those kinds of things in the title of your profile. If you'd like to put first lieutenant out there, awesome. But really tell me what it is that you did. Use titles that tell me what you did, and then make liberal use of your keywords and include that where you can in your work history. And again, there's a lot of things you can do with your work history in terms of how to have transferable skills, how to make things very relevant to where you're going in the future. And we talk heavily about that in the Resumes That Rock class. I wish I had time here today, but I don't. But a simple example, I'll just give you one quick one, and I'll give you a very personal one. It's mine. So when I started my career as a software engineer, working on Space Station Control Center for an engineering company who was a provider of software services to NASA, and 98% of the work that I did was writing code and teaching people to write code and leading some teams. But I wouldn't put that in my resume. What I would talk about is I would talk about leading teams. I would talk about hiring people. I would talk about coaching and mentoring my team. And despite the fact that that was only 2% of what I did when I was a software engineer, everything else that I did as a software engineer was irrelevant. So the way that I have transferable skills is not by trying to turn writing code into something relevant to recruiting, except for, might help me with respect to technical recruiting. But what's a lot more relevant is, talking about interviewing, building teams, and things of that nature. So we tell you all about that in Resumes That Rock. I know it's hard to do, but that's what you do with your work history. I really don't have much more to say about work history other than make your resume great and then bring your work history over from that. The only thing that you might do differently in your work history in LinkedIn that you wouldn't maybe do on your resume, although I would do it on my resume, is that I'll put in multiple titles for everything that I did in the past. And the reason why I put in multiple titles, even for the stuff that I did in the past and even in my resume, is because I'm going to say something that's probably maybe kind of weird, but titles don't mean much. I mean, they really don't. I mean, it doesn't really tell me what, I mean, the title system administrator. Here's what I know. I know there are a lot of people who have system administrators that don't do anything related to the network, and all they do is touch Microsoft machines. I know other people who are system administrators who do nothing but mess with networks and routing protocols. There are other people who are system administrator who do nothing but Oracle database tuning. So under every title, so many different things happen. So, but if you give me a list of titles, it begins to shape things up. System administrator, help desk technician, desktop support. Okay, I begin to see it. System administrator, network engineer, IT security specialist. Oh, okay, that's a little bit different shape, right? It's a little bit different shape. So by using multiple titles, because people are moving fast, even when they're looking at your resume in the past, they'll get a better flavor right off the bat without reading the description as to what it was that you did and the kind of role that you played. So yeah, that's how that works. Hey, Kelly, how are you doing? Everything all right?
Yeah, we're doing good. We have a couple questions if you have a sec.
All right,
All
good,
right.
yay.
Okay. Could you provide more information on how to be in the group that is more likely to respond. So this is going back to your other system that you use, and when it comes up, these people are more likely to respond. How do you, could you just provide more tips on how to get noticed there?
Sure. That particular box, I'm going to show you some details of it later, but thank you for asking that question because I might have forgotten to get back to it. That particular box, more likely to respond, really has to do with how much it has to do with two things. It has to do with how closely you're connected to me. So my recruiter account doesn't, I can't connect with you out of it, but still. It has to do with how closely connected you are to me. So you might know that in LinkedIn, and we're going to talk about this in just a few minutes, that there's this notion of being connected. And so if you send me a connection request and I accept it, or I send you a connection request and I accept it, you're in my first level network. If I connect with you and you're connected to somebody I'm not, that person is in my second level network. And if I'm connected to you and you're connected to someone I'm not, and they're connected to someone you're not, that person is in my third level network. So the closer you are to me in my network, the more likely you're rated as to respond to me. So that's one thing, how closely connected you are to me, which the moral in the story is, be connected to lots of recruiters. Hint. All right. So the other thing that gets you really gets you in that list is your activity. So if you never log into LinkedIn and you never search LinkedIn and you never do anything on LinkedIn and people send you messages and emails and you don't respond to them and you never send message to anyone and you never do any posting, then you're not likely to respond because they see your account as dead. So the closer you're connected to me and the more activity you have, even called logging in, even called searching for people, like doing anything, then you're going to be more likely to respond because you're alive. Most people don't log into LinkedIn every single day. LinkedIn likes it when people do. So they believe that when people are logged in every day, they're more likely to be looking for jobs and they want recruiters to reach out to them. So they keep logging in. And so they put you into the more likely to respond list. Yeah. So that's it.
All right. And would third level connections also be in that group?
You know, if I think, I don't know, I think the answer would be if I don't have but one first level connection and my entire network is mostly third level, maybe it does, but no recruiter will ever have that kind of a network. So you can assume that the people who have those kinds of accounts and the recruiters who are looking for you, you can assume they have at least a reasonably big network, which means it will not reach into third level at all, right? At all. So if you're third level from me, you're probably not ever coming up in my search results. You're probably, the likelihood of you coming up in search results is unfortunately really low. So being connected, and we're going to get there next. So this is a great lead into this next section that we're talking about.
All right. We have just a couple more questions, but did you want to move on or?
No. Let's keep going.
Okay, cool.
I prefer answering
Okay.
your question.
So this question's regarding if you think a premium LinkedIn account is worth it. This person was in the military or is
Yeah,
currently in the military, and we're told that they could get premium for free, which they haven't been
yeah.
able to find how to do that. So if you have more
Okay.
information on that, that'd be great as well.
Yeah, so here's the deal. No one on LinkedIn is listening to this call right now because I'm LinkedIn helps me make my living. But yeah, no, you shouldn't pay them any money for an upgraded account as an individual who's looking for a job. I don't think it helps you that much. The main thing that it does. So, but before I say that, if you can get one for free, yeah, all day long, right? Sure, why not? Because what it does is it can make it so that when I'm searching for you, that your profile more easily comes to the top of my list because it's kind of a sponsored profile, if you will. As a recruiter, mostly I don't look down. In Google, you skip the sponsored results. As a recruiter, I don't skip the sponsored results, but I don't give it that much more credibility. So, it might get you a little bit more response, but probably not enough that you should pay for it. But if you can get it for free all day long, please, yeah, that would be awesome. The other thing that having a paid subscription does is it gives you like, I don't remember, 5 in-mail messages or something like that so that you can, contact people who aren't connected to you. The way that LinkedIn makes money is they sell recruiters accounts and those accounts come with a finite number of in-mail messages, which means that I can't contact you through LinkedIn unless you're either connected with me or I send you an in-mail message. Since most people aren't in the world are not connected to me, my network's pretty big, but most people aren't connected to me, then LinkedIn wants me to use in-mail messages to send them to them, which means that they're basically selling access to you to the highest bidder. So, that's kind of how that works. So you get some in-mail messages with a paid account so you can reach out to people, but I'm going to show you how to find their email address anyway. So here's how to get a free one. So let me be super clear. If you can get a free LinkedIn Premium account because you're a veteran, yes, please. If you don't, I probably wouldn't pay them money. I wouldn't suggest you do. I mean, it's not a bad idea. I mean, nothing bad's going to happen, but I'm not sure that it's worth it. Try LinkedIn Premium for free. Free 1-year premium subscription for good. So here's one. So free LinkedIn Premium, veterans, free LinkedIn profile for veterans, free one link for good, veterans link for good. So somewhere in here, if they haven't changed it, is probably the answer. So, Google knows all. So just ask Google. Free 1-year premium subscription. Yeah, here it is. As part of our commitment to connect veterans with opportunities, LinkedIn offers U.S. service member veterans a free 1-year job seeker career premium. Nice. And I don't know what you have to do to prove that or not, or what have you, or they just, I don't know, I'm not a veteran, so I haven't been there to do it. But somewhere through here is where you'll find that. So upgrade now, and I don't even, woo! Oh, that's because it's going into my account. So, the cheapest thing that I can buy here is my current plan. $60 a month is my current. Well, I have 2 different plans. I have this plan, which is my personal plan, and then I have this other one that's my work account. This work account costs $1,000 a month. So yeah, that's how it works. What else you got, Kelly?
All right, and this will wrap up questions for right now, but the next one I've got is, would you group promotions into one position on LinkedIn, kind of similar to how you speak about in the resume?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. So in the Resumes That Rock class, what we talk about is that bigger chunks of time are always better than little chunks of time for 2 reasons. One, some people vote against job hoppers. It's becoming less and less and less a thing because people change jobs more and more. So it's becoming less of a stigma, but it's still a stigma. And so if somebody's not paying attention in your resume and your LinkedIn profile, and they see 1 year, 8 months, a year and a half, they may not be paying attention to the company, and they may not be paying attention to the role, and they may say, wow, this person's job hopped. They've had 5 jobs in the last 3 years. Well, the truth is, maybe that was promotions. The same thing is, if your company changed names, no need to break that into a different job on your resume or your LinkedIn profile. Or if you relocated, but we're essentially doing the same thing, particularly people who are in the military, what I love to see is, think of your positions on your resume and your LinkedIn profile as broad brushstrokes to tell me the paths, the story of your career. I want to know the story. I don't need to know every single little detail. Your resume is not a legal document. LinkedIn is not a legal document. And people will like you more if you have bigger chunks of things, because it's easier to look at your profile, and because there is some bias against job hoppers. So group profiles, group title changes, group relocations, group renaming of company. If you were worked for a company for a really long time and played a bunch of different roles, let's say you were somewhere in the military or IBM or wherever it is, and you were there for 15 years or 20 years, instead of listing like the 15, 20 different things that you did, group it into like 3, right? Tell me about 6 years, and tell me about another 6 years, and tell me about another 6 years, or somehow, these broad brushstrokes serve you so much better than all the little detail. So there's that.
Awesome. All right, Gary, I think we're ready to move on. Thank you.
Me too. Thank you. Awesome. All right, everybody. Only things I have to say, and we're gonna shift gears here, is your picture is really easy for me to talk about. When in doubt, put a picture. If you're not sure, use a picture. The reason why is because you're more human. It's been proven over and over and over and over and over and over that the profiles with pictures get clicked on more than the ones who don't. However, If you're not comfortable putting it out there, then don't. It's not that big of a deal, right? It's not that big of a deal, but if you're him-hawing about it, put it out there. Make it a nice, clean headshot. And, here's all you have to do to figure out what a good headshot looks like is run a search, right? So look at this one, right? What do you think about Preston's? Did he really spend much time on that? Nah, it's kind of stretched out. It's fuzzy, makes his head, it just shows you what his decision was. His decision was to not really care. What about Chris Harding? Yeah, he just took off his football helmet or something like that. I don't know. Is his shoulder bare? I mean, what is he, at the beach? I mean, really didn't put much effort into it. No offense, Chris, but, it's not a great profile shot. Christian Harris, it's all right. He looks friendly and stuff like that. That one's all right. It's all right. Scott Wheeler, I can see his face. It's zoomed in. That one's actually pretty good. So, no pets, nobody's arm around your shoulder. Don't just crop it out of a vacation picture. Here's the deal. It's not just about your profile. This is a good time to tell you that hiring decisions is not one big decision to hire you or not. That is not how it works. I'm a student of human behavior, and I've been first or second person to about 20,000 hires at this point in time. And here's what happens is, let's say that somehow or another your resume ended up in my hands. The first thing I'm judging you on is the name of your resume. So when your resume is named C. Harding Sales Resume 8-25, I'm kind of going, well, what other resume do you have? And do you have one other than sales and what, right? So people name their resume for their own convenience. Name your resume for the other person's convenience. Why not have first name, last name, resume? Maybe hyphen title, maybe, right? So people are evaluating you even from your file name, quite frankly. And it's not a big evaluation. It's tiny. They're not even aware that they're doing it. And the truth is, it's called, there's this thing called confirmation bias. And what confirmation bias is that as human beings, we make decisions, and then once we've made one, we try to reinforce it. So that tiny decision that I made about you from your file name, I'm now in the mode of reinforcing that. So now when I open your resume and it's crowded and ugly, I judge you again. I don't like it. I'm now in the mode of trying to find reasons why I don't like you. I might not be aware of it, but I am. And so the pattern continues. So the decision for somebody to hire you is not one big decision. It's this whole series of micro decisions, and bringing that all the way back to your picture. Whether people are aware of it or not, as a recruiter and recruiting leader, I'm acutely aware of what I'm evaluating you on to a large degree is a pattern of decision making. And the better I see your pattern of decision making, the more likely it is that I'm going to bring you through because you have a pattern of making good decisions. And what you use for your picture represents a decision that you made. So that's how that works, right? What decisions are you making? And by the way, I don't think you'd find many recruiters who would articulate it that way, but I promise you that after seeing thousands and thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of resumes and profiles, that's exactly how they're behaving. I mean, exactly how they're behaving. If you heard the conversation behind the scenes, you would know it, right? And it's not that most recruiters really want to do the right thing. They like people a whole lot, or they wouldn't be doing what they're doing, but they got to find some way to deal with the onslaught of people who are trying to connect with them, trying to get their attention, the huge piles of resumes, the hiring managers breathing down their neck. And the only reason why I tell you that is that it's under the heading of, if you understand how the game is played, it's a whole lot easier to win. And the section we're about to shift into, it's critical to understand that recruiters are really, really, really busy, many times overwhelmed, and many times under the gun. That's their situation. So sometimes when they don't get back to you, it isn't because they're ignoring you, it's because they flat out can't. All right. Somehow I went off on that tirade over there. Kelly, are we doing, I think we're moving on to this next section, right? Isn't that what we're doing?
Yes. Yeah. Good to go.
Okay, great. All right. Well, I hope my little sidebars or whatever sometimes, my hope is that they give you some visibility into what the world looks like on the other side of the equation, and it's a little out of control. And so if you can help, by doing some of the things we're going to talk about, then it's going to really shift the odds in your favor. So let's get back to LinkedIn. Let's talk about how to move forward with respect to taking some control of your job search, because waiting is not a strategy. So we built a beautiful profile where we optimized it to be in search results. We care a lot less about what it looks like when you get there than it comes up in search results. And now we wait and we wait and we wait and we wait, and no one may ever reach out to you. So that's not enough. So the next thing we have to do is we have to build a network, because if you do not build your network, then not having having a LinkedIn profile with no connections is the same thing as having no LinkedIn profile at all. Let me tell you that again. Having a LinkedIn profile with no connections is exactly the same thing as having no profile at all. Because unless I have a pretty expensive paid account, the minimum cost for an account where I can see people I'm not connected to is $400 a month, and most people don't have those. And so for most people, like most of you, when you run a search in LinkedIn, the only people you're going to see are people who are in your network. Most recruiters do not have the kind of account that they can see people outside their network. Most hiring managers do not have an account where they can see people outside of their network. So unless you're in someone's network, when they search for you, they are not going to find you. So the onus is on you to build your network. Now, if you've ever heard this myth that you should only connect with people that you know, ignore that myth. It's just a myth. It doesn't make any sense. You should want to be connected with every single person who has a LinkedIn profile. This isn't Facebook. I can see almost everything in your profile, even if I'm not connected to you. The only difference is that if I'm not connected to you, I can't find you. So the reason why LinkedIn will suggest that you only connect with people that you know is because that's the thing that makes recruiters have to spend a lot of money, is to be able, if a recruiter doesn't have a big network, they have to pay the money to have one. If they're a new recruiter, then their network is small and they have to pay money. So by encouraging you to have small networks, it means that LinkedIn makes more money. I'm all good with that. I want LinkedIn to be wildly successful. I want them to make money. I want them to continue to have a better and better service. I just don't want them to make my money and your money. Let them do somebody else's who doesn't understand what we're talking about. And it's all good, right? All right, in building your network, there's 3 levels of connections. LinkedIn recognizes 3 levels. There's first level direct connect, there's second level connections, which are a step away, and then there's third level connections. It's real simple. If I connect to Kelly, hi Kelly, if I connect to Kelly and Kelly connects to Bob, and Bob is not connected to me, then Bob is in my second level network. If I'm connected to Kelly, she's in my first level network. Kelly's connected to Bob and I'm not. Bob is in my second level network. And Bob is connected to Sally, who's not connected to Kelly. Then Sally is in my third level network. It's like that. And right. And Sally is now in Kelly's second level network. And so it goes, and so it goes, and so it goes. If you're not at least in my third level network, you do not come up in my search results. It's that simple. And the closer connected you are to me, the higher you come up in my search results. So let me show you that real quick. And what I'm going to show you is not in my paid subscription, because in my paid subscription, it sorts you a little bit differently than that. But in my unpaid subscription, which is what most people are using, if I say system administrator, and I go over here to locations, and I put in Austin, Texas. One of the primary search criteria is who's first person connected to me. So look at my search results. First level connection, see it? First, right there, see that? First, 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 first. So everyone who is on the first page of my search results is first level connected to me. Let's check out page number 2. Everyone on page number 2 is first level connected to me. Let's check out page number 3. Everyone on page number 3. Ooh, there we go. There's a couple of seconds sprinkled in. So there's 20 people per page. The first 60 people are first person connected to me. If I'm busy and I'm only going through the first 2 or 3 pages, if you're not first person connected to me in my system administrator search, I'm not reaching out to you. I mean, it's as easy as that. Recruiters are not reaching out to you if you're not in their network. Hiring managers are not reaching out to you if they're not in your network. So, so you got to build your network. So let me show you how to do that. Here's the deal. You want to build your network, and the main thing you want to do is connect with the recruiters. The reason why you want to connect with the recruiters is because that's mostly the people who are searching for you. And on top of that, recruiters are connected to a lot of people. So I've got like 10,000 people in my first level network. So, and a lot of those are recruiters and hiring managers. So if you connect with me, you just picked up 10,000, 11,000 people in your second level network. And all of those people can now see you, right? They can all see you. They're going to be in their second level network. And because I've been building my network for a lot of years, people who are second level come up on my third page and fourth page. But for a lot of recruiters, you'll come up on their first page, even if you're second level, because they hadn't built their network yet. So even if, so connect with recruiters, because you're first person to them. They usually have other recruiters in their network. And all of a sudden, the next thing you know is you'll come up in lots of recruiter search results. If you're not connected to recruiters, you won't, right? I mean, it's really that simple. It's pretty binary. You're either connected to recruiters or you're not. And you got to make a point of it. You can also connect with hiring managers. You can connect with people you've worked with, right? All of that. But if you don't connect with anyone other than recruiters, then do that. And if you don't connect next, so most important is recruiters, next is hiring managers, and next is people you work with, but the easiest is people you work with. So let me show you how to do it. It's really pretty simple. So I am not in, this is my normal account. This is the same one that you've got. And I got 56 people who are waiting to connect with me. Thank you for all of you who just sent me a connection request. That's awesome. I got some messages here. Thank you. Please connect with me if you haven't already. Where am I going with this? So recruiter. So let's do this. Let's do this together. You're in front of, I know you're in front of a computer. If you're not in front of a computer, then you're probably not listening to me. So bring up your LinkedIn profile. I'll give you a moment to do that. Bring up your LinkedIn profile. You're gonna go connect with a couple of recruiters right now. Let's do that. So bring up your LinkedIn profile, and up at the top, right, here's this little search box up here at the top. All you have to do is type in RECRUITER, recruiter, right? Click recruiter. And then if you look down here a little bit, it'll see down here, eventually you'll see this thing that says people with the title recruiter. Click that. Pardon me so much. All right, so you with me? Be in your LinkedIn account. Go to that top search box. Type in the word recruiter. Recruiter. Some of you are way ahead of me. Some of you are still catching up. Recruiter. And then look down until you say people with the title recruiter. Click that. Now, when you click that, that's bringing up people. Those are recruiters who you're first person connected to. But it'll basically bring them up all over the place. Now, the truth is, your search, look at my search results. Look, all right, showing 511,000 recruiters. Yours probably doesn't say that because it has to do with how big your network is. But I got 511,000 people whose title is recruiter in my network. It's crazy. But then what you do is, so notice over on the right-hand side, this is where your advanced search is. So it pulled this thing in here. It probably put it right here under title recruiter. If it didn't, then you want to put it right here under title recruiter. It probably put it there for you. The only way to get this advanced search screen these days is run any search. It doesn't matter what it is, then you can get here. So the title is recruiter. What you can't do in your not paid account is make that current or not, but that's okay. And now you want to go to location. So add in the location where you want to connect with recruiters. So I'm going to connect with recruiters in Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina area. Probably don't have many there. Oh, look at that. I narrowed my search results down to 2,291. And oh, look at that. I got, how many recruiters I got there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 who are in my first level network. Here's one that isn't, Michael McShane. So I want to connect with Michael McShane, and instead of clicking this connect button, which is going to send Michael a very generic message, I can either right-click on Michael's profile and click Open a New Tab, or I can hold down the Control key and click Michael McShane in a new tab. The reason why you want to open someone's profile in a new tab, by the way, this is really important, because there is this thing in LinkedIn that's called a commercial search limit. And what that means is that if you do a lot of searching in LinkedIn, it'll eventually stop letting you search unless you pay them money. And so the other thing you get with a premium account is you get to keep searching. So if you run into what's called the commercial search limit, you can't search in LinkedIn anymore until the beginning of the next month unless you pay them money. So the way that it works is that I just ran this as a search. So I ran this search with, Raleigh, Durham, and Recruiter, and I came up with my search results. If I just click Michael McShane, like a lot of you probably do, and now I go back, it runs my search again. So that was a second search. And now when I go click on Cameron Lowy, right, I see his profile, I'll connect with him, I'll show you how to do that in a second, and I go back, that's the third time I ran that search. So see, it counts every single time. So don't do that. What you do instead is either right-click on their profile and click Open a New Tab, or the same thing as hold down your Control or your Command key and click it, and it opens in a new tab. So then you go to the new tab. So let's go to the new tab, and I'm going to click Connect. I'm going to add a note, and I'm going to say, hi, Michael. And you can say what you want, but I've experimented with a few things, and the one I get the most connections with is, it's always good to be connected with recruiters. Let's connect. Pardon me. Best, Gary. Zip. So off it goes. And now that I sent that connection request to Michael McShane, I close the tab and I go to Cameron Lowy and I open, why do I say Lowy instead of Lowry? Yeah, Cameron Lowy. So, and then we go over, I'm already connected with him. And so on and so forth. So here's the deal. To connect with the recruiters, I'm going to run through the whole drill for you again. And this thing's recorded, so come back and look at the recording. Recruiter, put it up here in the top. I look down here for where it says people with the title recruiter. I click that. And once I do that, I scroll over here. I'll make sure the recruiter is in the title field. I now go to the location that I want recruiters in. I'm going to add something. I'm going to add Denver, greater Denver area. And I got a few recruiters I'm connected to. I don't want to hit the commercial search limit, so I right click and I open in a new tab. I go over to the new tab and I go connect and come on, add a note. Oh, what was his name? Is that another Michael? Dang, I forgot his name. Mike, copy, add a note. Hi, Mike. And I'm going to show you a trick here too. It's always good to be connected with recruiters. Let's connect and say anything you want, right? It's something that feels natural to you is what's going to matter most. I mean, it doesn't matter that much what you say. Just say something. Gary. And what I'll do is I will put that in my copy buffer. I'll highlight it. I'll hit Control C or whatever. I'll say copy, right? I'm a keyboard guy, not a mouse guy, and I'll send this invitation. And the reason why I put that in now I'm going to close that tab. I'm going to go back to this so I don't rerun my search results. I'm going to open John Sheffield as a new tab. I'm going to go bring up John Sheffield's record. I'm going to remember that his name is John. I'm going to click connect, and I'm going to click add note, and I'm going to click this, and I'm going to paste that. And I'm going to remember that it's John, and I'm going to hit send invitation. And then I'm going to close John's profile, and I'm going to go to the next page, and and in less than an hour, I could reach out to 100 recruiters. Now, eventually what will happen is as you're reaching out to these people, LinkedIn might start asking you for their email address. When it starts asking you for your email address more than a couple of times in a row, just give up for the day and go do it again tomorrow. So that's how you connect with recruiters. All right. All right. So there might be some questions about that, but before we ask those questions, well, are there any, Kelly? Any questions about that?
There are questions, but not about what you were just discussing.
Okay, well, let's hang tight for just a second. I want to show you
Okay.
how to find hiring managers. We'll run this drill one more time, and then we'll go pick up questions, right? Okay, cool. So recruiters, connect with them. The next thing you want to do is the other people who are searching for you are hiring managers. And here's the reason why hiring managers are searching for you. One is they're always frustrated with the recruiters because we can't move fast enough, we can't get things done, or sometimes they don't have one. And join my class on effective job search strategies, and you'll understand how to get ahead of the game. Because the truth is you really want to reach out to hiring managers and touch base with them before they have a job that's even open, but that's a whole different story. We talk about that in effective job search strategies. It's my favorite of these sessions, by the way. So if you haven't been to it, please come to it. If you're really urgent about your job search now, go look at the recordings. They're out there. It's it's a whole strategy class on how to do it. But here's how you search for hiring managers. First step is to imagine the title that likely hiring managers would have. So, if you're in an IT role and you're transitioning into or looking for an IT job, I know some of you aren't, but it's the space that I'm most comfortable in. My network is the biggest in, and a lot of you are in that. So, but if you're in medical building and coding, it might be office manager, right? It might be head clinician. It might be, I'm not sure who hiring managers are, which is the other reason why I usually use IT examples, because I know who the hiring managers are. But let's just say this, director of IT, right? I know directors of IT are people. So I'm going to run that search. And then what I'm going to do is over here, I'm going to change the title to Director of IT. It might be IT Manager. I can do that one too, right? I've already got Greater Denver area checked, so I'll go ahead and leave that. What else is in my search? Well, I got 2 things in my search, so I'm going to run this search. Bang. There we go. All right. So in the Denver area, I came up with 1,100 people whose title is CIO or IT director, right? Director of IT, director of IT. And I'm only second person connected to most of these people. So it's really pretty simple. What I do is I control click on Marie Langhorne. Now, if you want to, if you want to spend the time on it, you could do something like, you can make sure she seems to be at the state of Colorado. Yep, cool. You could have a different message if you want to. You could say, hi, Marie. I'm an IT professional in the Denver area and working on building my professional network. Perhaps you'd like to connect. You could even go further than that. You could say, so she knows that you're not just randomly doing it. I see you currently work at the state, work for the state of Colorado. State of Colorado. Perhaps you'd like to connect. Best, Gary. So something like that, right? Write a message that makes sense. This one's going to be even more highly likely that she's going to respond to you because it's clear that you checked her out like a little bit, and she probably doesn't get that many people attempting to connect with her. What's the worst thing that can happen? She can ignore your connection request, right? I'm not sending this one because I'm not an IT professional. Otherwise, I would send it. Yeah, so The only problem with that, and I'm not trying to discourage you from writing a little, you could have a message that is kind of tailored like that, and you could remember their name, and you could always copy their organization. You could still have a tailored message and one that you use over and over and just substitute a couple of things in there. I don't know whether it's worth it or not, because you can cover more territory by not doing that. And there aren't a whole lot of, I don't think, if you reached out and you spent days doing this and you reached out to 500 people, I'm not sure that your connection rate will be that many more if you personalize every message. You might be better off spending your time reaching out to more people than spending more time um, customizing the messages other than their name. However, I am certainly interested in that as an exercise. So if some of you want to take on the exercise of highly customizing your messages and some of you just covering more territory, I'd be interested to see the difference in the connection rate. So if you do that, let me know. Do it enough times so it's actually meaningful. And yeah, I'd love that. I'll send you a Starbucks gift card or something like that for that. I'd love to have that information. I've never done it before. So yeah, so that's how you do it. All right, cool. So let's go back to, so that's what I wanted to show before we had questions. So what questions have we got right now?
All right, so let's get started. We have quite a few.
Okay.
Okay, so this is about the open to new opportunities filter that appeared on your screen. It says, was that determined by putting open to new opportunities in the summary and headlines?
Let's see, let's go back over to the search, and it says open to new opportunities, currently interested in hearing from recruiters about new opportunities. I would show you directly how to do that, but because you might forget and because it's not in my notes, I'm going to show you really how to go do it, which is first thing we're going to go to do is we're going to go ask Google. So we're going to say how to open to new opportunities in LinkedIn. And I'm going to go now. So here we go. So I've got a blog on LinkedIn. Now you can privately signal to recruiters that you're open to a new job. So if you forget how to do this, just remember, Google remembers, right? Google knows all. Just ask Google. It'll tell you. So here we go. So I'm going to open up this blog on LinkedIn. And remember, if you don't remember how to get a free account if you're a veteran, because the big thing in getting your free veterans account is you won't run into the commercial search limit, so you don't have to open in new tabs if you like to go back and forth, even though it's faster. So now you can privately signal to recruiters you're open to new opportunities, right? So there will be a little video here. And in the candidates accessible from the Preferences tab, LinkedIn homepage, right? Preferences tab in the LinkedIn Jobs homepage, right? Preferences tab in the LinkedIn job homepage. So, and I would love to tell you that I know how to set this, but I don't ever go do it. I just use it on the other end of things. So I'm going to go to the Jobs tab, and my account is different, so it might not even let me do it. I got a premium recruiter account, interested in new jobs. I should know the answer to this question. I'm so sorry that I was hopeful that Google would show me like right off the bat. Come on, Jobs tab, LinkedIn salary, looking for talent. But see, my problem is that I can't not be a recruiter right now. So what it's wanting to do is it's wanting me to do that, and it's wanting me to look for posting jobs and stuff like that. Jobs you might be interested. Here it is. Update my career interest. Found it. Do you see that? So under the Jobs tab, I knew it was here somewhere. Jobs I might be interested in. I can update my career interest. It's right there, right? What jobs are you considering? I could certainly put in a title. What locations do you want to work in? Look at that. They added that. We can be in multiple locations. I'm so excited. Houston. Now this won't change when I'm searching your profile. But what it will do is this isn't changing how you'll come up in my search results. I'm pretty certain of that. What it's changing is the jobs that it's going to show to you, right? this is what it's going to do. And then you say full-time jobs, those kinds of things, show company preferences. And so now what happens is if you go turn this stuff on, it's right here. Let recruiters know you're open. And I set all my preferences, and then I go, boom, and I flip that to on. And then note to recruiters, what would you like recruiters to know? You could put your phone number in here, you know, all that kind of stuff. So that's how you do it. And again, I'm pretty sure last time I dug into this about, a month ago, that making these changes doesn't change your coming up in other people's search results. What it does is it changes what LinkedIn is going to show to you in terms of jobs you might be interested in, right? And so look at the ones it's showing me. You know, it's not so good at it yet. Director of Marketing Analytics, I don't think so, right? I don't think so. Not only would I not be interested in those, I'm not qualified and they wouldn't hire me. Director of Content. So, you know, what happens if I change this thing? So that's how you do it. You come here to Jobs, click Jobs. Under Jobs, there's going to be the section Jobs you might be interested in. You click Update Career Interest. And what if I put in Recruiter? See if that helps. Now I'm going to go back and see what it tells me in terms of these jobs. And it's still showing me ones that aren't that interesting to me. You know what's showing me these is because it also has a paid search kind of thing. And if I click on these things, they get to charge sell point money. I'm all in favor of them making money, but you know, just know that the search results that you get in Indeed and LinkedIn and stuff like that have something to do with who's paying them money to put stuff that's out there. And that's okay. I mean, that's how they make a living. That's the reason why the service can be here for us. So that's how you do it. What else you got, Kelly?
Awesome. All right. We've got someone asking if they're a free member for LinkedIn, are they limited to the number of connections that they send?
Well, here's what, yes and no. So if you reach the limit of the number of connection requests you can send, I am absolutely thrilled for you because that means you worked at it really, 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 really hard. It's hard to reach those kinds of limits. So for all practical purposes, no. And then just your basic prepaid account doesn't let that be more. And really what they do is they more throttle the total in a day or over a period of time than they do total. Because what will happen is in a day when I send out like a lot of connection requests, it'll eventually start asking me to give them people's email address. And once it starts asking me to give them people's email address, I just stop sending connection requests for the day. And the next day it lets me do it again. So if you're running into that kind of a limit, reach out to me. I'd love to see it. It rarely happens. I'll high five you because that means you're working it. So feel good about it. When you go hit that limit, you know, figure out what your treat is going to be and go have it. You know, you did something special. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Go try to hit it. See if you can knock it out of the park.
All right. Next question we have that's similar along the same lines is this person noticed that when searching for directors of IT to request a connection, the only thing that's available is send in mail. Would you have to pay for a premium service to do that?
No, you don't. So they're really, really tricky in that regard. And again, no, you know, no harm, no foul. LinkedIn's trying to make money. But here, let me show you the trick. They're very tricky sometimes. IT manager and IT manager locations. Go find some IT managers in Switzerland. Cool. There's an IT program manager in Switzerland. So I'm going to open up. Wow, look at that. I'm second level connection to them. The ones that you can't connect. So let me back up. If I open these people who are second level connection to me, then oh my goodness. We're doing good on time, by the way. If I open second level connection, see there's this connection button to me. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that picture right there. It'll let me connect. So that's because Marcel is second level to me. But if I scroll down here a few pages, I'm going to go to page 4. Surely I'm not second level with people. Nah, I'm not. So these people aren't my network. They're probably third level to me. So when I click on Christian Frank, the only choice right here is InMail, but watch this. Watch my cursor. You see it? Watch it. It goes over here. Oh, come on. Oh, they moved it. It's under more. Yeah, there it is. They moved the button. It used to be over here. Sometimes it's over here. They changed the interface a lot. It's right here under more. Under more, there's connect. So they hid it from you because they want you to go, oh, I can't send a connection request. I have to pay the money to send an email. No, you don't. You have to come over here to more, and you have to click connect. It's right there. So there's that. What
All
else
right.
you got, Kelly?
Just a couple more questions. This one is, do you suggest incorporating accounts such as GitHub, Stack Overflow, or Greenfoot?
Oh, yeah. No question about that, right? In fact, where I would put those is I would put information about that right up here at the top in your summary, right? Put it right up there in your summary. And then under, let me show you. Yeah, those are keywords that sometimes people will search for. I mean, I'll use it when I'm looking for technical people sometime. Yeah, please give me your GitHub. Show me your stuff on Stack Overflow. I'll use that to present you to clients once I connect with you, and it also helps me find you. So I would certainly put that in my summary section, and you know, it's pretty easy to do. You can put links and stuff in there, and you can put in GitHub and the rest. And the other thing you can do is under your current position right here, down here, I can put a link, right? Oh, that one's just to a file or a video. Supported formats, I don't want that. Yeah, I can't put it there. But yeah, put that stuff as many places as you can. That's awesome. I haven't shown you, but you know, I'll use Google to search LinkedIn, and then I'll use Google to search your GitHub and Stack Overflow and things like that. In fact, Google is releasing a new product to hiring organizations called Hire. We don't have to talk about it much, but it's got its Google search built into Google Hire, and it'll search your LinkedIn profile, your GitHub profile, your Stack Overflow profile, your social media profiles, your Facebook profile, your Twitter profile, all at the same time. So yeah, having your stuff out multiple places is going to feed Google Hire like nobody's business. Nobody's using it yet. It's brand new. It's just in beta. A year from now, it's going to matter a lot. Right now, it doesn't matter so much, but it's kind of cool. What else you got, Kelly?
All right, this next question will be the last one, but it's a two-parter. First, how far back in job history should you go on LinkedIn? And what if you change careers but then want to go back to what you did about 10 years ago? How would you list that?
Right. So let me first preface this by saying that you can find so many points of view on this and so many different opinions about it from recruiters and everything else. I think there is almost nothing, no single thing in your resume and your profile and stuff that is more broadly considered different. So here's my take on it. My take is, and I'm speaking from a recruiter's perspective and the conversations I have with a lot of recruiters, which is this, that everything that you think that you're going to do to hide from us what you think you're going to be discriminated against, like your age, we all know every trick that you're going to try to use. It's our job. And so, you know, I explained earlier that I think that hiring is a series of micro decisions. And the micro decision that's weighted against you in that regard is called, what do you think? You think you're tricking me? You think you're pulling the wool over my eyes? And so, you know, depending upon the mood of a recruiter, if it becomes apparent that it looks like you're trying to hide something, I don't care what it is, you just expose your decision making, which is you're trying to hide things from me. I don't trust you now. And it may not be that blatant, but I'm just saying that under the skin, that's what's going on. The other thing, no, let me back up though. Let me make the other case. Hiring managers aren't so slick. Some people doing recruiting for organizations have never been a recruiter. It's not their job. They're administrative assistants. They're receptionists. They're all kinds of stuff. There's somebody who's in marketing and they don't know right? They're not going to have that reaction. So, so there's no right or wrong in it. My belief is this, is that first of all, I got great news for you. Whatever you think you're being discriminated against, there's far less discrimination out there than you think that there is. I'm not suggesting that there isn't any. Of course there is, but there's less than you think. The other thing is that my belief is that the more you take ownership of who you are and where you're at, the better off you'll be. And if, let's just say, the reason for like how far you go back is about age, if I'm going to discriminate against you now because of your age, I'm going to discriminate against you later because of your age. And I think that I've had, let me just put it this way, firsthand experience, I've had more hiring managers and organizations tell me, you know what, I don't care how old somebody is, but, the resume only went back about 10 years. I've expected somebody in their 30s that came in their mid-50s, and I feel misled. So just know that you run the risk of having somebody feel misled if what you're trying to do is to hide things. So my suggestion and what I would do is I would include pretty much most of my career history. The things that are way back in the past, I would not spend a whole lot of time on them. And if you change careers sometime, you could take a 15-year part of your career history and put it in one position in your resume and your LinkedIn profile and say, I spent 15 years in hotel and restaurant management, including high-end resorts such as this one, and this one, and that's enough said. All right, that's enough said. So I'm a fan of tell your story. I think it serves you better. There's some cases that's going to serve you well. Other cases, maybe it doesn't. I think in the balance of things, I think for your own psyche, and I think for most of the people who I know who are really good people, you're better off taking ownership of your entire history. And, I don't need that much detail in the past, but tell your story, and I think it serves you well. So that's what I got to say about that.
All right. Thanks, Gary.
All
We're
right.
good to
Oh,
go.
and the shifting careers thing. I think it's really simple. I think you tell your story, right? And you can literally put in a position that essentially says, career transition from this to that could be your title. Career transition from this to that, and then in your description, in your resume, and your LinkedIn profile, you might say, hey, I was working as an IT professional. I was really interested in finance. I went and got my Series 7 licenses. I went into insurance and finance. And after, 8 years, of doing that, I discovered that my passion is really in IT, and I'm transitioning back into it. I mean, literally, tell your story. Same thing with gaps in your resume. Tell your story. You're a person. Humanize yourself. The recruiting and hiring process is dehumanized enough as it is. You can take the steps to try to rehumanize that. Tell me your story. So, okay. Sorry. What else you got?
We're good to go.
Okay, awesome. Cool. All right, we got just enough time left. I'll happily answer questions after to show you a couple of other things that I think are really kind of cool. So I want to show you what you can do to take a little bit more control of your job search and reach out to people. So you got a great profile. People can find you. You've connected to a bunch of people. Now, let me show you how to reach out to people and make things happen. Before I do that, I want to tell you just one quick story of how jobs come to be open. So the way that jobs come to be open is a hiring manager recognizes that there's a problem, and they recognize that Bob is probably going to leave in the next few months, or they recognize that they're likely to have to let somebody go because they're non-performing, or they recognize that the team is growing. When I talk to hiring managers and I ask them and they tell me the truth, they generally know 3 or 4 months in advance when they're likely to be hiring someone. And yet there isn't a job open and there isn't a job posted. And the good news about that, there isn't a line yet because all hiring happens at the front of the line. So here's what I know is that, right now it's what, July, August, I forget what month we're in right now. But regardless, all of the hires that are going to be happening in October, I bet that 70 to 80% of all hiring managers who know they're going to hire somebody in October and November already know that they're going to need to hire somebody, and they're not working on it. They're not working on it. They might know somebody's going to leave in the next couple of months, but they're not working on it. And so the only thing you know about all of these people is you don't know anything. But a lot of them are going to be making hires. A lot of them. And because all the action happens at the front of the line, your whole objective in your job search, this is the number one thing, Your whole objective in the job search is to get to the front of the line, and there's no better opportunity for you to get at the front of the line than before there is one. Once the job is posted, it's competitive, right? It's competitive. They're under the gun. They can't hire anybody who doesn't check all the boxes. They've run out of time. The hiring manager's hair is on fire. Their project is in trouble. The line is about 200 deep. And yeah, there you go. That's the situation. 2 months ahead of that, if you reach out to them as a motivated individual who's seeking to better their career, you're exhibiting the kind of behavior they want to hire, and you're at the front of the line because there is no line. So let me show you how to do that. So I already showed you how to find hiring managers, and I already showed you how to find recruiters, right? You already know how to do that. You can target your search just a little bit more, though. And what you can do is you can find companies who have the kinds of problems that you solve. So the way that it works is I'm going to use my old standby Volusion. Volusion is a company, right? And so you can target companies who have the kinds of problems that you solve as opposed to just going out randomly. So let's just assume for a moment that you figured out that Volusion has the kinds of problems that you solve. You know, they certainly, if you looked at the people who work there, you'll certainly see that they have IT professionals. So once you figure out that Volusion has people has the kinds of problems that you solve, then what you can do is you can click on this link here to look at all the employees that are on LinkedIn, and you can say the current company is Volusion. You could put in the word recruiter, right, keywords, and you can put in the word recruiter. The company was Volusion, and there they are. There's Matthew Sohan, and there's Jennifer Michael, and you can connect with them. And once you've connected with them, you can reach out to them, because once you're connected with them, like I'm connected with Matthew Sohan, you can send them a message right here, or you can find their email address right here, right? And you can email them. I'd suggest emailing them. Yeah, I'd suggest emailing them over sending them a message in LinkedIn. They're going to be more responsive. And there you go. Now, once you have Matt Sohan's email address, you also know Matt.Sohan. You know what Jennifer's is too. It's jennifer.michael@volusion.com. So you could reach out to them. And the next thing you can do is change this from recruiter to IT. And here we go. Come on. Come on, LinkedIn. Come on, baby. Let's go. Anyway, it's going to show people in the IT department in Volusion. Find the IT manager and connect with them. Here we go. Come on. Here we go. Anyway, it would show you who the IT people are at that company, and you could connect with them. And once you know their email addresses, you can reach out to them, and I'll show you the message that you ought to send. So there's two. So the point is, find target companies and then reach out to people. The way to find target companies is this. There's two ways. One is that once you found one target company, and remember there's a recording of this, so you can come back to the recording and see it later. Once you found one target company, and that's the company who has the kinds of problems that you solve, then all you got to do is go to their company page, scroll down to similar companies, and then go check out BigCommerce. Go BigCommerce. Oh, it's in Austin. I want a job in Austin. You look at their people, and you see that they got a bunch of IT people. Okay, awesome. So now what you do is go search for a recruiter who's, the way that it works is like this. When I say search for those people, right? Keyword, I would put in recruiter, and it already put in the company for me, BigCommerce. If the company is multi-city, you could put in the location. BigCommerce isn't well, it is, but it's mostly in Austin. Put in Austin, and there's your recruiters in Austin. And then all I have to do is go over here and change this to like IT. And there we go, global IT customer service. I got an IT director at BigCommerce. That's Wyatt, right? That's the hiring manager right there. And so you can connect with Wyatt. And once you got connected with Wyatt, you can reach out to Wyatt. And so target companies and then peel that back. The other way you target companies, use one company to find other target companies. The other way that you can find target company is find people who have the title of the job that you want, right? Look for people with system administrator. And if you look for people with system administrator in your area, you're going to find a bunch of them. And system administrator, I'm going to clear all three of these. System administrator. And here we go. System administrator in Austin, Texas. Let's see where they work. I can open up a handful of them. All right, I'll go to Wallace. I'll go to James. All right, and well, actually, all I have to do is look here. ESC is a target company. Fidelity National Finance is a target company. Trowbridge and Trowbridge is a target company. Where's another one? Anderson UTMD Anderson Cancer Center is another one. Systems Made Simple, BMC Software. Find out where people who do what you do work, and that becomes a target company because they clearly hire people like you. Then find the recruiters and find the hiring managers and reach out to them. Connect with them first, and then what you have in this handout is here's the messages to send. I suggest you send 3 messages. One message is not going to get their attention. And so I won't read them to you here, but the first message basically says, hey, I'm doing a little bit of networking. Maybe you know somebody interested in talking to me about how I can solve these kinds of problems. And if a hiring manager knows that they need to hire somebody, do you think that they'll respond to you? Of course they will. What about a recruiter who's trying to hire for that position? Will they respond to you? Of course they will. And instead of being at the end of the line where you applied for the job online, you're at the front of the line because you just got their attention. By the way, when you see a job that's posted online at a company that makes sense for you, then don't just apply for the job. Go find the recruiter and the hiring manager and reach out to them, connect with them, and send them an email message. When you hadn't heard back from them in 3 or 4 days, send a second message. Tell them you're doing a little bit of networking. You don't want to be a bother. And then after a few more days or a week, send this one. It's called the takeaway close. We want what we can't have. And that's the reason why this message says I'm still networking and looking for IT professionals who might be interested in talking with me. I don't want to be a bother. This will be my last message. And occasionally you'll get somebody who responds and says, hey, Gary, hang on a second. I'm so sorry I didn't get back to you. I've been meaning to. I've just been busy. And for that fleeting moment in time, you got the upper hand because they said, I'm sorry. So, yeah, join us for Effective Job Search Strategies. Mostly what we talk about in Effective Job Search Strategy is that particular technique of finding target companies, finding the multiple ways of finding companies, finding the people who are doing the hiring and who can champion you, reaching out to them, and actively taking a role in your job search because waiting is not a strategy. All right. Cool. That's what I've got to say about that. LinkedIn is a powerful tool. Build your profile so it's easy to find. Connect with lots of recruiters. Connect with lots of hiring managers. Go find jobs. Go find companies that have the kinds of problems you solve. Connect with those recruiters and managers and use these email messages these messages I gave you and reach out to them. Do that 200 times and something great is going to happen. So, live well, have fun with your job search. So that's my time, and I'm happy to ask questions, but I'll hand it back over to you, Kelly.
Thanks so much, Gary. Really appreciate your time today. And thank you all for attending today's session. As a quick reminder, I just want to let you guys know that this session was recorded today. So it will be posted on our website later today, but also emailed to all of you. So you can go back and review anything you'd like or pass it on to any colleagues or friends who were unable to join us. Also want to remind you all that New Horizons is here to help. So please reach out to your local New Horizons computer learning centers to find your career consultant that can help you with everything from, building your resume to what certifications to take. And yeah, if you have any questions, please reach out to them. If you are not familiar with who your local New Horizons is, you can log on to our website at newhorizons.com and do a zip code search to find your nearest center. You all have my email address as well, kelly.waters@newhorizons.com. You can reach out to me and I will assist you with contacting your local New Horizons Center. All right, Gary, it looks like we actually don't have any more questions, so you did a great job answering those throughout the presentation.
All righty. Thanks, everyone. I hope that you learned some things. Connect up with me, and I would really appreciate that. Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. All right, thanks, everyone. Take care. Have a great day.
Thank you, Kelly. You're awesome. Bye.